Welcome back to As Tom Tells It. This episode is going to be great. I got Mr. Rob Thomas here, business networking expert. This one's going to be a good one, folks. Let's get started. Rob, thanks very much for coming on.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Business networking. There's a distinction between other types of networking, right? Could you explain it to us?
Most certainly is. So if you go out and you go to the internet and you search for networking, the first thing that'll come up will be computer networking. So servers and wires and IT and laptops and things. You search for that, you'll see those mentors that I kind of have learned their craft from.
Who are your clients? What type of businesses or individuals?
They are individual entrepreneurs, they're business owners, they're executives of corporations, could be at any C-level or otherwise, sales managers, as well as their employees who need to learn how to network more effectively and efficiently.
You're going to train network management people different than the salespeople?
Yes, and the reason why is because those management people may have really good, robust networks. Their challenge is that they really haven't figured out an efficient way to keep them engaged while they're in business and in networking and relationship management. Employees, they might have a network, but it's really more often than not a number. They've gathered so many different individuals who they've known, but they really haven't done anything with them at all. They just, I used to work with John Smith, I used to work with Peggy, I used to work with Susan, that type of thing. When you get to the manager level, it's a little different because they've done more than that. They might have even done reviews on those different types of people, but they're usually more peers and they're a little bit more seasoned depending on the business that they're in. The number one ask that I usually get is, I've got to go to a really big event. I call it a cufflink event, right? So you're going to have 200, 300, 400 different types of business people at this one event. What in the world do I do when I get there, or maybe even before I get there? But most are concerned because the wrought iron reason why is that they're fearful. They want to come off with a lot of bravado, but on the side, they will tell you, and this happens for executives as well, is that they really don't know what they're going to do when they get there. The classic thing they will do is they will glom with their different types of colleagues at the people they already know. And managers can't stand that. And the managers can't figure out how to get their employees to go out and introduce themselves to other people that are around the room. I have a solution for that, both for managers and for employees. I call it a certain kind of method that I have that I've put together that keeps it simple, especially when they go to an event. But as an example, the number one problem that people have when they go to an event is that they don't know where to put their name badge.
Oh, okay.
So they will get either a sticky name badge like at a chamber event, they'll get the kind of clip-on, they might even get the kind of pin. It's not going to be magnetic, but they'll get a pin. Be it either male or female, most of them, especially male, will put it on their pocket of their jacket.
That's what I always
do. Because someone somewhere told them, which is a myth, that the pocket of a jacket was designated for a name badge, which just is not true. You want to have the name badge on the right lapel. Now this applies for male and female. It's a little trickier on female. 95% of us are right-handed. The other 5% are left-handed. But they shake with their right hand. When we do that and we shake with our right hand, our eyesight travels up our arm right to where your lapel is. And all I need is a first name. I don't even almost need the name of your company, most definitely not your last name, because I need to know your name so I can associate it with your face and have a conversation.
That's clever.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And that's easy to remember.
It's not uncommon for you to see, especially in a very successful, bigger company, magnetic golden or silver name badges. That's really the way you should do it. For $35 or $40 at an office supply store, you can get a plain old magnetic name badge with your name, even your company, and it will travel with you wherever. So it'll go to you at any kind of event you're at. So when you go to the event, they're of course going to give you the sticky or the pin or the clip-on. You say thank you very much, you put it in your pocket, and you put on your magnetic name badge.
Do you get in the verbiage of what
I do.
they should say?
I do. The classic example is, especially for the younger generation, is what in the world am I going to talk about? Now, you can get into the whole world of elevator pitches and what it is you do, That's saved for another day. I'm about when you interact with that other human, what is it that you are specifically going to ask or say? So I teach an acronym I call FORM. When you form another individual, you can remember that acronym in your mind, and then you go through that acronym as you're having a conversation. So you say, hi Tom, my name is Rob Thomas. I blah, blah, blah. I teach people how to network. This is great. Now your name badge will probably have the name of your company. Well, tell me what, Thom Knowlton Industries is. Why don't you tell me? That's the O. So for FORM, it stands for family, occupation, recreation, money or message, or now most recently, who is it that you need to meet? O, we've already got handled. So in your business function, we already have the O because it's occupation. My standard rule of thumb is I'm going to ask you about your occupation from your name badge. Well, that's great. What's Thom Knowlton Industries? And you're going to tell me. How long have you been doing that? Oh, about 3, 4, 5 years. Anything over 2 years? Well, that must mean that you like it. The standard in business these days
that's good.
is being in a position longer than 2 years. If you're under that, well, you're brand new. So how did you find that position? Or I'll even ask them if they've been there for a while. It's not too hard a question, but it's about to get the dialogue.
And you get them talking about them.
Exactly. Common misconception is that we want to go to this event, show up, and throw up. That's the common misconception. It could not be farther from the truth. And it's something that I needed to learn, right? Been in sales for over 20 years doing different types of things, and I would just show up and I just throw up about what it is that I do. And we have to get away from that. If you want to be an effective networker out at a business function, we have to just leave our ego at the door, put our hands in our pockets and our mouth shut, and really kind of listen to the other person. For F, we're going to ask about their family, but we're not going to say, tell me about your family. The question that I teach people is, where's home?
That's nice and soft.
Yeah, because it's not, where's your house? Where do you live? What are you doing? Tell me about your family. No, I have to spend time looking for wedding rings and all that kind of stuff. No, just tell me where home is. And they'll be like, oh, well, home is here in, Wallingford or Meriden kind of thing. But I grew up. R of FORM talks about recreation. So when you're not part of, Thom Knowlton Industries and doing all these different things, what do you like to do for fun? Now, the standard response from executives or business people is always going to usually be, oh, I spend time with my family, my dog, my cat, my squirrels. No, that's not what I'm asking. What I'm looking particularly for is recreation. Do you like to golf? Do you like to ski? Do you like to macrame? I had a lady tell me she liked to macrame. How'd you get into that? Those types of things.
And they start opening up and relaxing.
The idea is that I'm trying to figure out whether or not you really are going to be a good contact for me. Not only in business, but in personal, but we have to lead with business because we're at a business event. If I've gotten through all of that and the person has still not asked me anything about me, we can finalize with, so Tom, when you come to an event like this, I call it a cufflink event with a lot of big players. It's a big awards event here in Greater New Haven. Who is it you need to meet? Now, I put it like need to meet versus want because I want a Ferrari. I want a Bugatti. That's what I want, right? But I need to meet an executive of a large accounting firm. That's who I need to meet because that in itself is going to take me, my business, one step further. I'm moving the ball one step further.
You're trying to find a guy who's going to sign the check, not the secretary, not the middleman. Is that your direction?
No.
Okay.
What's interesting is most salespeople or most people that are in business always want to go for that. You want to go for the decision maker. You want to go for that. Here's the problem, that when you're in sales and you're out there about and you're working in your markets, even though you're looking for the decision maker, because guess what? No matter the industry, everybody else is too. Most don't realize that the gatekeeper or the administrative assistant or the associate or the secretary could really be your link into establishing a good quality relationship so that you don't have any problems later when you call in or you email in. Oh, Rob, how are you? Oh, yeah, it was good to see you. Glad you came in. I had the same example this morning when I went to a large accounting firm. The lady remembered me from coming to an event a couple of times. Now, I didn't remember her name, but she remembered my face. She's the gatekeeper. The bottom line that I'm trying to get at is never discount the human at all, no matter what their title or what they do for that company. Never discount them because you don't know where they've traveled. You don't know where they're traveling to or for. And if you've established a good relationship with them, they're going to take you with them because they like you. When I do presentations, I talk all about we can't make people like us or love us or pay us or give us stuff. I cannot make you do something. It's impossible. So I've got to figure out a way where you kind of would like me. And the easiest way to do that is to ask you about you. Now, if you did like me and you're enjoying this and you are shocked that I did not immediately show up and throw up and try to sell you something, which most usually are, especially the C-level managers, you're going to start asking me questions about me. And I call that the organic switch. Because organically what has happened is you want to ask me that. I didn't make you, but because I show genuine interest in simple questions about you, you now want to ask me different things about me. Because now you're curious. Because how did this person get in front of me and not sell me? How I go to all these grip and grins and cocktail parties and everybody's always they're always throwing their cards at me. That's another one that I teach. And I completely stole it from another mentor of mine. You always ask for a business card before you give one. Never just give a card, ever.
And take theirs first.
Always ask for theirs first. And the irony is that most people think that the probability is, oh, well, they're most certainly going to ask me for mine after. No, because underneath all of that nicety, they really just still don't like you. They don't like you.
They don't know yet.
They don't know you and they don't like you. Maybe they don't want your card. So I teach people never to get that card, never ask for the card unless you really have a genuine interest in following up with that person.
Go over that one more time. That's really important. I like what you're talking about.
This whole span, by the way, of forming shouldn't take longer than 10, 15 minutes because it's a quality over quantity. Old sales used to say, let's get as many cards as we can and get out. Okay? It's not a quantity game. It just can't be. It has to be a relationship building thing. If I've made one or two quality contacts that I could follow up with after that event, I'm good. That is paid for the event. Now, on the business card aspect, I want to ask you for your business card because now I've formed you and I actually like you. We've had a good conversation. In addition, you also have organically switched and now have started asking me questions about me. Now I know that you've got skin in the game. Now I know you actually might like a little bit about my personality or what I'm asking you or talking about. So when I've asked you for your card, you most certainly will probably ask me for mine. But if you don't, I never force it on you anyway. I always wait until you ask me for it. Because I figure that, you really are not invested quite yet. And you don't want my card.
They don't ask you for the card. How do you proceed after that?
I take the card and I follow up with a handwritten thank you note afterwards.
After. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Or I might send them, a nice card with a gift. I might send them an email. I might send them a text. I might connect with them on some social media. I can do that because I have your information.
Here we go. How long have you been doing this?
I am just coming up on 3.5 years, but I've been in sales for over 20.
What type of sales did you do?
I did everything except sell copiers and payroll and banking and financials. So the beginning of my sales career, I started with a company that did wireless services. And then from there, I moved into a company that did off-site data record retention and storage. And then from there, I moved into insurance. They call it a different kind of insurance associated with a certain bird. And so I did that kind of insurance. And then from there, I transitioned and worked over for the Regional Chamber of Commerce here in Connecticut.
Oh, that's interesting.
And that's where I got my passion to really do this, because I was a business development executive for that Chamber of Commerce. And the head of it at the time, who's one of my top 10 mentors, broke me down. I was having this discussion today. Broke me down like on basic training, and then brought me up again in terms of old school respect, and dress up and not show up and write a handwritten thank you note, do a phone call versus an email all the time. And that all started to morph and blend into having individual conversations at diners.
That's your thing, right? The
I just love diners.
I want to hear about this.
I love diners. I had to figure out how I was going to have a communication with an executive or a decision maker of a company. So back when I was at the chamber, I might send an email, I would get a no. I might back then there wasn't really texting, I might send a phone call, I'd get a no. You would get that black hole of sales happen all the time, until that mentor of mine broke me down and said, why don't you just go ask them to lunch? Now, it seemed simple at the time, and I couldn't belong to the country clubs of the greater New Haven area yet. So I thought to myself, what do I really like? There are plenty of different restaurant spots, but I'm a breakfast guy. I like lunches, but I'm a breakfast guy. Like a 6 a.m., a 7 a.m., an 8 a.m. breakfast. So where are you going to get that done? Now, here in the Northeast, especially Long Island, New Jersey, or New York, you're going to go to a diner, right? There are all-night diners all the time. And most people associate diners with, I was out and about, gallivanting around in the evening, and went with my friends at 2:33 in the morning, and we got, French fries and gravy, and, before we went home. Well, that's all good and fine. But think about it. Coffee shops are fantastic in that they market their different services, but they charge you per cup. Okay? A diner, if you work it correctly, you have a nice booth. You're sitting there in a nice private booth. You're on the level. You're going to have a nice server or associate, bottomless cup of coffee. And you're going to get some eggs or some bacon or grilled cheese. I mean, who doesn't like pancakes? You're going to have all different types of food at all different hours of the day. So that whole menu flexibility. Plus, it's comfort food. My ultimate goal and why I went that way is I needed to get that executive decision maker, that contact, whomever I need to talk to, out of the office. Old sales used to be you want to meet them in their office because then you can see their pictures and their awards and their family. But they're too closed off, especially now. They're either on their laptop, they're on their computer, their cell phone's ringing, we're in a conference room, which are always fish bowls. So you've got assistants jumping in, and I need you for a second, can you sign? There's always distractions. So if I can, I grab that executive and get them out of the office.
What's the percentage? High?
Very.
Wow.
Very high.
So
sure.
How about the time of day with those guys?
So I'll find that the real higher executives or the C-level executives, I get a 7 o'clock breakfast. Attorneys are only ever lunch usually. Do you know why?
Court?
They don't have to bill for it. No, that's not billable hours.
Okay.
So if I stay out of those billable hour framework,
That's clever,
that's
too.
why you'll always see attorneys at business after hours. Because once the clock stops at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock, they're off the clock. So they don't have to bill it back to another customer. Now, I've been lucky with a couple of attorneys where I can have pie in the afternoon or something, but that's few and far between. So accountants and attorneys are very focused, as they should be, on billable hours. Diners are a great way to have the bottomless cup of coffee, have a booth, have a real genuine discussion, one-to-one, about them.
You start with the forum there?
I do.
Okay.
So I've got a plain black folio or portfolio notebook. It's a 5x7 that I have. And I write down their name. I write down the date and time on the top. And then I teach people to go to the person who they're going to sit with and look at their LinkedIn profile, their social media profile. and pick out 3 things that really stand out to them. You know, I didn't know Rob went to Ithaca College. I didn't know Rob was an Eagle Scout. I didn't know Rob worked at Walt Disney World.
Or he's a Mason.
Correct. And all those different things you can find out, and those are true about me. So you write them down. And that gets that whole kind of rapport going. Because what if I haven't sat with this executive before? And I might be able to form them, but I also can hit those different things because they put it out there. They put it on social media. So why don't I just go look at it? Some think I'm stalking. I'm like, no, they put it out there. I'm using it. Then I form them and I write down FORM right on that page, and I go through it. And I just go through it. And the biggest trick is for people to jump, because you want to form family, occupation. You want to go in order, but conversations don't go in order. They go all over the place. So you have to be prepared to kind of jump through the letters. The whole goal, again, of why I do that is to get them just once to now ask me about me. I've been in plenty of different conversations, we all have, where I might do all of that kind of questioning for over half an hour.
Wow.
And they just don't ever ask. Ever.
And that tells you?
Well, if the organic switch doesn't really happen, that really tells me a couple of things. It's probably not going to work, this relationship with them. I don't say that to them, but what I'll do is I'll even take a break. I'll get up from the table, I'll go to the bathroom, and then I'll come back, and then I'll see what happens. Most of the time, about a 75%, they'll then, I've been doing all the talking, Rob, let's talk about you. Okay, good. And then we go, right? I've kind of forced that switch a little bit by doing a break to get them to stop talking, actually, because my eyes glaze over after about half an hour. And everybody's does, right? You talked,
20-minute break.
Before I got into this, I tried this theory on my own. I met an executive for lunch. I took my business card. I wrote down 3 things before I even got started. This is about 5-6 years ago. I wrote down different things that I wanted to ask him, and I placed it right next to me at lunch. So we had a very nice conversation. This is before form. Very nice conversation. And I kept looking down at my card, and I was asking him about him. After about half an hour, he goes, okay, just stop. Time out. Just stop. What is that card? What is that card right next to you? I go, this? And I was taking notes, by the way, right, when I told you. Well, this is just some different things. You're an executive vice president. I didn't want to waste your time. It's a $40 lunch, but, nice cloth napkins and glasses and things. But I didn't want to waste your time, so I wanted to make sure I was prepared with a couple of questions. Very simple. The gentleman looked at me and goes, huh, really? I go, yeah. Well, continue, but let me tell you one thing before you keep going. Out of the 35 years that I have been an executive vice president at this very successful manufacturing company, this is the most productive lunch I've ever had.
Wow.
It was a big deal. I've since had that gentleman introduce me at different presentations. He's in my book, where he's one of my top 10 trusted advisors. After that, I might have asked him another question, but then I didn't. He just started asking me questions. So that organic switch happened. And I thought about the name Organic Switch because just organically it happened. And then he became a trusted advisor of mine.
In your seminars, workshops, classes, you teach the forum, everything that you just talked about.
Correct. Form is easily transferable to going to a cocktail party or a cufflink event as it is sitting here one-to-one where I've got my notepad. Of course, I'm not going to go to a big cufflink event and I have a notebook and no, not going to do that. Some people have asked me, I'm like, no, don't do that. Some people say, well, they're right on the back of their card. That's fair. If they give them the card, you could write the date on it after you've been with them. Or when you get to the M of form and who do you need to meet, they could say, I really need to meet Joe so-and-so of this accounting firm. Okay, and so you remember it, you might write that down on the card.
I don't think they'd object to that.
But that's it. That's it. No more, right. Stick it in your pocket. It's been a pleasure meeting you. As they say in networking, I already know you now, so we're going to meet some other people. Thank you very much for your time.
That's a nice ending. That's it.
I do. This has been fantastic. I really thank you very much for your time. Love to be able to reach out with you on LinkedIn and connect, and we can have another conversation, but I really appreciate your time. We're done.
This stuff needs to be told to everybody because,
Yeah.
like I told you, I'm in chamber too, and they just whip the card out at you
Right.
and expect something's going to happen, and,
Right.
and they're eating a hot dog or,
Right.
whoa, you're not even talking to me. You're not communicating with me. You're not asking me things. I really love all this technique that you have, and you share it with everybody.
Because it gets at the fear. Because everybody is just scared to death of doing it. So there are the three different fears that I talk about. Number one is, and you get into it with people, the fear of speaking is above the fear of death. The third one is the fear of networking. And I've seen that over the last couple of years. And they will identify, I'm scared to death. Go to this event because I don't know what I'm going to say. I teach people the how. By the time you get to me, I've already figured out, especially if you're in business, you already know the why, you know the where, you have to go to an event. The what is, networking or the people. The who, what kind of people are there. So you've figured out the W's, right? In press releases, it was the five W's.
Yes.
But there's the H of the how. That's what I teach people specifically. I'm niched. I love what I do. So it isn't really work.
This is unbelievable information. I was actually waiting for you to show up.
Okay.
Because I sort of do this stuff with first impressions. I said, I'm going to pick this guy's brain. And you and I talked a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
I said, this is a key player. I've got to get to know this guy. Rob, I want to thank you very much for coming
Thank you.
tonight.
I appreciate it.
Really
Thank you.
great.
Excellent.
You too. Don't go away now. We got 2-minute tips coming up, and you don't want to miss it. Welcome to Tom's 2-minute tips or less. Tonight, tip, body language gestures. I'm going to show you 5 body language gestures that'll absolutely help your presentation and increase it by 50%, 60%, maybe even 75%. Let me show you what I'm talking about. If you know that if you take 1 step forward, you increase focus. You know that if you tilt your head slightly to the side, you increase empathy. You know that changing the pace of your speaking, you increase focus. By shifting yourself lower, you increase anticipation. And you know with absolute certainty that if you pause, you get absolute and undivided attention. If you try and use these 5 techniques, they will work and increase your presentation by 50, 60, maybe even 75%. See you at the next tip.